a scion of many worlds. The food, yes, the grain is being milled and quickly baked into bread to distribute among the people. However, Lady Luminescence is interrupted by a jaunty tune, and she quickly begins feeling around herself to find the communicator. Wretched thing, why is it only that absurd song? Take some time to tamper with it, the settings menu in particular, Emmanuel advises her. Yes? What is it? I'm busy, she announces imperiously. There is a panicked response from the other end. Hold on, just bandits? Bandits are... Where did they come from? Where? Emmanuel quickly types out commands on his communicator and holds it close to hers. It picks up the symbol and gives him a vague distance and direction. I'll be back shortly, he promises and draws the axiom around himself. Then he's simply gone in a cascade of disrupted axiom. Hold the line, sisters. These soulless craven won't take our homes. Douse the perimeter wall. Shore it up with earth and stone. We must hold the fire back, the captain of the guard exclaims. A sword in one hand and the bizarre boxy relic that is the communicator in her other. The questions and conundrums of recent days far from her mind as the Burning Hill bandits fall upon the luminous hall. The ancient and sacred home of the family, Luminescence, and hers to protect. The Burning Hill bandits had been a plague for years, with strange twists of axiom that set even stone on fire. They could tear down any perimeter wall and had been growing bolder and bolder in their assaults. They were said to be impossible to repel and resist. The axiom in the air twists and distorts before a massive figure appears. A gigantic form, primarily in shimmering white, with obsidian spears replacing hands and feet. The figure falls with its black cape studded with shimmering white flapping upward to reveal densely folded wings that unfurl to massive size and brace the fall of the titanic being. The touchdown to the captain's immediate side, and she finds herself looking up into the lamp-like eyes of the biggest Earthani to ever exist. The one that had taken and was currently wearing the crown of her homeland. Report, soldier. Her king states, and she's at a loss for words. Report. Burning Hill bandits. They specialize in destroying stone keeps and buildings. They've operated for years and have taken advantage of the lady's leave with her elite guard. The captain replies. Do they have any hostages? He asks, and she considers. No, none I'm aware of. Ah, good. This will be easy then. He replies and begins moving to the edge of the barrier where her troops are trying desperately to keep the walls standing. Then, before anyone can even try to keep pace with the enormous strides, his wings snap out, and he's above the wall. Burning Hill bandits, you are being given your one chance to flee. I suggest you take it. A river of red and orange flames wash over the Earthani Titan, who emerges unbothered. Poor choice! The screams begin as he suddenly slams down on the opposite side, and by the time the captain has doused and opened the gate, the Burning Hill bandits are already on the retreat. It's too late for that now. I see the notches on your hilts. I can smell the innocent blood you have shed. You're only heading to your graves or stockades, the enormous Earthani declares as he extends his wings and flies after the retreating bandits. Then he turns, and a spear shoots from his mouth to suddenly bury itself in the dirt and dragging out a screaming bandit that had hidden herself underground. Surrender! I surrender! The Earth Erumenta bandit screams in absolute terror as she feels the blades of his proboscis holding her hard enough to drag her out, but somehow not slicing into her despite its sharpness. He grabs her with a single gigantic hand and regards her before nodding. You will cooperate with the good captain. Tell her everything. If I return to find that you have not taken full advantage of this one chance to be as open and honest as possible, I will be greatly displeased with you. He then takes 2 steps, drops the bandit on her feet right in front of the captain. I'll get them away from the people. You focus on both putting an end to the madness here, and then questioning this woman. If she fights you on anything, tell me. Then his wings snap open and he's off. The bandit turns to the captain with naked fear on her face. Please don't hurt me. A bit rich from you, but fine. You want leniency? How do we douse burning stone? It's not that hard. All you have to do is... He returns less than an hour later. That's all of them scurrying back to their dens. I've spotted several encampments, but did not engage. Now then, has our guest been cooperative? The captain just boggles for a moment, before regaining herself. She says that the Burning Hill bandits have over a dozen encampments, and she only knows where 3 are. I've spotted more than 3, Emmanuel states before pointing to one of the walls. I can see that the heat around here has returned to more sane and sober levels. There does, however, seem to be structural damage on that wall. I suggest you get some earth erementa to either rebuild it from base stone or work together with the fire erementa you have here to melt it all into a singular solid piece. I see. Thank you for telling me, my lord. Now, do you plan to do everything yourself? No, but I do intend to scare our opponents into submission. Why fight when they all just surrender at the first sight of a big, fluffy moth? He asks in a joking tone, and there's an unexpected laugh from the captain. Fluffy, are we? She can't help but ask, before mentally kicking herself. I'm so sorry that... The good-natured chuckle from the conqueror of nations, defier of death, and titan from beyond the stars gives her pause. Oh no, nothing to apologize for. That was more or less the perfect reaction. Oh? How so? Because despite everything I've pulled off, everything I've accomplished and how intimidating I seem, I'm still a person. He remarks, and she mulls over that for a moment before deciding to risk it. Despite the fact that I'm maybe up to your mid-thigh? Yes, he says. Despite the fact you do not deny having returned from the dead and brought back knowledge from the afterlife? I cannot deny the truth. Or that you've ascended into a higher state of being, still just a person? Are you just terrible at lying? I'd like to think I'm actually rather good at it. The best lies are the complete truth told in such a way as to be discounted. He says, and she does a double take at that. Pauses, thinks, then realizes just how dangerous such a nugget of knowledge is. Earth and fire, erementa. With me, we will reinforce this damaged wall, he declares, and there's a rush around him. Focus your abilities and pay attention to what I do. There are patterns that are stronger than others when it comes to things such as walls and fortifications. Why fire? One of the household staff asks. As a fire erementa herself, she's got a good reason to ask the question. The heat can make the stone easier to manipulate, easier to put things into a proper pattern for greater strength. Besides, you're only showing your best element, not the summation of the elements you can use. The axiom in the area is kicked up, and at the Earthani's urging, everyone begins directing their energies. He then begins to explain the differences between crystals, stone, and earth. It's over in minutes, and a portion of the wall was replaced by a shimmering black sheen of solid and reinforced black crystal. And with this in place, you now have the hardest part of the wall here. Eventually, a lot of buildings can use this as basic material. It keeps heat well, repels heat like a champ, and is hard enough to use as a starship hull. Meaning, cannon fire is more noisy and annoying than actually dangerous. You can shatter a sword against this reinforced bit of fun. He punctuates it by tapping at the crystalline wall, and revealing the sheen on his claws is something similar. Something that, without axiom, can repel cannon fire. With it, would anything be able to damage them? Now, I'm flagging this place to have some doctors come here in a hurry. Just keep the injured alive and comfortable. Help is on the way. Of course, which just means, the captain begins, that it's time to retaliate against the bandits. They're calming down, licking their wounds. We strike now, while their guards are down. Yes, my lord. Every foul touch of language she knows pours out from between her lips as she tightens the bandage. What should have been a perfect cull had turned to hell thanks to that thing. Her spies had told her there were no elites near that keep, that there was nothing that could repel them. Then, a creature out of rumor and crazed story had dropped out of the sky like the wrath of God and threw them back. It hadn't even attacked. It had scared them all so thoroughly that most of them had hurt themselves or each other while fleeing. The idiot next to her had outright lost her axe in the confusion, and it had been kicked up and into her arm. Stupid, stupid, stupid. A big showy freak shows up and everyone goes from a hardened killer into terrified little girls damn near soiling themselves. Of course she ran. The biggest strength of the Burning Hill bandits was awe and overwhelming force. You have neither of those when half or more of your girls are running away screaming. She pauses. Something's wrong. She tries to reach for her sword but flinches as pain lances through her arm, so she's forced to use the other. She can feel a tingling in the crystals on her neck. She turns as she hears something flutter, and is just in time to see the Titan Earthany descend upon her. She doesn't scream. She has no chance. Its foot claws wrap around her face and hold her mouth shut, even as it falls to the ground and pins her. She vaguely makes out a gigantic wavy sword being swept through the area, and hears the shattering of metal and wood as he demolishes dozens of weapons in a swing. "Surrender or be destroyed," he declares, far, far louder than any moth should be, even if there is a distinct eartheny trill to his tone. There's a start of shock, as Emmanuel is simply back in the throne room, a new sword in hand, and casually carrying it more like a toy. Well, that was bracing. Anyone else have issues with bandit clans? "How bad was it?" Lady Luminescence asks. "The Burning Hill bandits saw that your keep was less guarded than usual, and were making a play for it. Incidentally, you now have several slightly younger guards as a side effect of the healing process. Your serving staff are reinforcing the outer walls to make them nigh immune to such techniques in the future, and your dungeons and jails are full to bursting with thoroughly intimidated bandits awaiting your judgment. Do remember the rule for executions." "Do it myself. Yes, I do recall that law," she says somewhat tartly before huffing a slight sigh. She can't be snappy. He just handed her a nearly flawless victory in less time than it would take for her and her staff to properly mount their riding beasts to head out. "But thank you, How do you do that? If I'm to protect my land and people, I need to be able to move with the incredible swiftness you do. How do you go from one place to another without moving through the places betwixt?" "I can teach you, however, I must ask you a somewhat personal question first." "What kind of question?" "How best do you learn? I can offer you texts on the technique. I could offer you lectures, I can give examples, and I can show you all the formulae in a mathematical sense. Which type is most easily understood? Perhaps you can guide me through it a few times." "Very good. Now, the version I will be using is more technical and not quite as swift as the one I have mastered, but it is considered foundational to most teleportation. This is walking before you run." He offers her his claw, and after a moment she takes it. "Now I am slowly bringing the effect into being. Pay attention to how the axiom flows and try to copy it." Then they're at the other side of the hall. "There, does that make sense?" "It does," she says before focusing and suddenly being back where she was. Emmanuel is abruptly beside her. "But what was that feeling near the end?" "A safety feature. It preserves countless lives every day. It makes sure that if you are falling a great distance, or being moved in some way, that you emerge in safe stillness at the other side of the effect. So, a great fall is no longer a danger to me, so long as you keep your wits about you. No fall, no matter how far, will pose even the slightest threat anymore." "I see. Thank you, my lord." "You are quite welcome, Lady Luminescence. Now then, before we were interrupted with news of banditry, I believe we were speaking of the grain that had been distributed to the villages within everyone's care. In particular, The milling process. Have there been any unfortunate delays or accidents that should be seen to?